Fear is one of the most important emotions to survival, because it helps us understand what might kill us or not. This is why fear is an emotion put into humans at birth. Fears differ between people, but one thing that all people have pretty high on their list of fears is death. Probably one of the scariest ways to die is at the hands of another human being, which is why a lot of people fear serial killers. The stalking involved in the process of a lot of murders is terrifying. It's no surprise it has been turned into a popular subgenre of psychological horror, stalker horror. Stalking is a classic theme of psychological horror, for good reason. It makes games terrifying and is fairly easy to implement. The best examples of stalking horror that I could find for cheap was the Stalk series, which is made up of 2 games. The game starts with you escaping from your ex and going to your grandfather's house, instead of calling the cops for some reason. You sleep without anything going on, and you go to get food the next morning. You go downstairs and find out that I lied and there's a creepy ass letter left on the doorstep. Ignoring that, you go to the store. Outside you find a missing persons poster from 10 years ago, almost to the day, that looks exactly like you. But again, you ignore it and go inside. Some guy asks where you live and you go to buy your wine. After leaving to go to your car, you get jump scared by a guy that tells you not to be all alone because of people like him. Once you get back home, you put the food away and then the power goes out. Now that you're in the dark, you start getting texts from an unknown number saying that he's coming to the house. You then hear knocking at the door and see another creepy note, and you decide that you have to leave the house. Once in the car, the most predictable thing possible happens. The car doesn't start, so you finally come to your senses and call the cops. The cops arrive, arrest the wrong guy, shoot the dog, and leave without arresting anyone. You then go outside, turn the power back on, and I really expected there to be a jump scare here or something, but nothing happened. Instead of trying to leave or anything else, like after nothing was arrested, you decide to take a bath for some reason, and you get woken up by noises around the house. Instead of calling the cops again, you decide to just go to bed. You wake up in the middle of the night to noises downstairs, and when you get down to the kitchen and go to the storage room, the guy from earlier at the store runs out and kills you. You still check in the storage room in the morning when you wake up, and you see a book that seems out of place, and pulling it reveals a secret room filled with notes and letters written to the person that looked like you, and also diary entries that say that the writer won't let you escape again. And finally, a box containing a human skull. You decide that instead of calling the police, you should call Grandpa, and he tells you to call the police, but your phone dies and you don't have a charger. You ignore your grandpa's advice and go outside of the basement to grab a torch and try and find a weapon, but you get jump scared again by the guy from earlier. He tells you that your ex Liam told him to do everything he did, and then he leaves. And then after waking up in the middle of the night again to a letter in front of your bedroom door, you decide to leave. You decide to go down another path to see if you can find neighbours, and you find a little shack down another path with Liam's car in front of it. Heading inside the tunnel dug underneath the shack, you find Liam's body, and you decide to travel further. At the end of the tunnel, you find the trapdoor in the hidden room of the house, and Headless Skeleton. You turn around and find the worker from the store, so you run down the tunnel. And this is supposed to be a really scary, suspenseful moment, but this guy is really slow, and I barely even need to run to escape him. And you get outside, and the shack is surrounded by police. And the text at the end basically tells you to live happily ever after. The game starts with you getting ready to leave to go to a cabin in the middle of the woods. You get your bag, food, and you leave. While hiking to the cabin, you run into someone sitting on a bench, and ignoring them, you walk a meter away and set up your tent. The next morning, you continue the hike to the cabin and get jump scared by some random guy next to a creek. When you finally arrive at the cabin, use the 3 ingredients you brought to make something red and go get wood outside. While outside, the guy from earlier shows up and asks about a photo that you found earlier. You go inside to get it and give it back to him. After he f***s off, you light the fire and fall asleep. When you wake up, you go outside and see that Elizabeth, which is the person on the bench from earlier, is dead with an axe in her chest outside. So you take your vitamins and she just magically disappears. You decide that you should go back to your car and get out of here. Once you get to your car, it goes all blurry and you're suddenly back in the cabin. The owner of the cabin comes up to you and tells you some random stuff, and also you have a free extra night at the cabin. For some reason, you grab a bunch of poisonous mushrooms that surround the cabin and cook them, until shadow people lure you down to a river where you find the cabin owner dead against a rock. After taking your vitamins again, some higher power tells you to check the chest in the shed. So you do. You search for a while, and then the voices tell you to hurry up and where the key is. The chest contains the axe that killed Elizabeth, Elizabeth's glasses, the owner's shoe, and the guy from earlier's watch. You then check inside and discover that everyone you've seen so far is related to you. On the balcony, the guy from earlier shows up with the axe that killed Elizabeth, and then everything goes black. And then you wake up, alive, realizing that he didn't kill you. You're then teleported to this weird dark log place, and it's revealed that you killed everyone. You then watch this weird flashback thing that shows you that you killed your mother, your father, and then you kill your brother when he catches you and try to leave, but you pass out at the gate of the cabin. The ending text tells you that you killed everyone for your drug money, and you were stalked by your own guilt. The first Stalked game was the best by far, with the twist working far better than what the second game tried to do. Overall, I do feel like the games are good examples of what makes Stalker horror scary, with most of the first game having me about as scared as the climax of Castle House, to be honest, but at times they do seem like they're trying a bit too hard. This leads me to one of the major issues with these games, and that's how overdone the jump scares are. A good jump scare is one that has a fair bit of build up, building tension until it's all released as a sudden jump scare. But these games use too many, having them happen randomly during the game, and it doesn't allow the game to have enough time to build the tension. It kind of keeps you on edge, but not really as well, I guess. I can't say if this is an issue with Stalker horror overall, or just an issue with these particular games, because I haven't played enough, really. But with what I've found, is that stalking elements in horror games can make them far scarier very easily, but if overdone, it completely ruins the game.